Yo, 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 what is up? What is up, Libertarian family? It's K right here. Alright, yeah, give me 1 second, hold on. Alright, so, alright, y'all, I'm back. So, yeah, let's get right into it, man. I got some good ideas, and, yeah, I figured talk about some topics, try to rest while I'm, regaining my, energy. So, I'm gonna be talking about hmm, what's a good topic for today? I'll be talking about, is statue burning justified? Yes, that is a good topic. So, it's been pretty weird because statue burning, according to most people, would be considered a leftist type of thing, where you've seen a lot of people take down statues and basically perform like a Nazi Germany style type, rebellion for the wrong reasons, I would say. Um, I think honestly, when it comes to just burning any form of a political statue, there has to be a purpose for it. Like, I don't think people in, you know, oh shit, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think people in, let's just say, the country of Armenia should be having statues of the Turkish, genocidal leaders that were leading the charge in the Armenian genocide, right? So I don't think that's something to remember, and that's evil. It's fucked up, and that would piss off a lot of people. Um, I would even say, even going further, like having statues is representative to educating society the right way, but you should show statues of both sides of the political, historical, spectrum. So like, if people that have never came to America want to know more about America, there should be statues based off of certain figures within certain tribes, i.e., the Europeans, the Africans, the American Indians, like a whole bunch of them. And it should show their inconsistencies of what they believed in. Like, everyone knows how George Washington was, in the United States. So they should do the same thing with certain historical political figures, like, I don't know, like, I mean, people do talk about figures like Sacagawea, the chief Metacom, in which he was pretty evil. I was never high on him. He was actually a very evil leader, and he got killed for his reasons of being tribalistically barbaric. But I mean, that's basically what I'm saying. Like, I think Americans in general should know the history about America in the right manner, but there shouldn't be a praise of looking at bad figures in history, and therefore society must bow down to it, because that's where you see in like mostly U.S. southern states where, oh shit, hold on, okay, yeah, that's where you see in certain states where, especially in the South, you see a bunch of praise where people give praise leadership to U.S. Confederate leaders like Robert E. Lee, those people of those caliber that represent the South, and they don't ever talk about the slave rebellion that have actually happened in the South, and the people that had, that had to fight for their freedom to get to that level, and talk about the abolitionists that were also popular there too. But furthermore, that's something that's always been hidden in American history. It seems like everyone wants to kind of paint it black and white to say that whites have always dominated blacks and American Indians have always been quote unquote wiped out, in which their history has not been wiped out. They're honestly, American Indians are doing good now compared to what they did to each other back then, and then during European invasion, but it wasn't even bad to the point where they were like quote unquote dying to a high level, because honestly like most of their history is heavily based on a lot of tribes hurting each other and using a lot of unethical barbaric means of beliefs to, inflict pain on one another. And, you know like I would say leading to the end of the colonial wars, that's where you've seen a massive evolution of tribes getting better, because a good load of them didn't really know how to modernize because they were too focused on fighting each other. And it's like, you've seen it with the Apaches, the Sioux, the Lakota, the Comanche, just a whole bunch of them. And it's like, they had all that time to sit in the Americas to come up with good ideas to actually expand civilization. And it's not to say that they were lesser advanced, because they weren't. They had yeah, they had the resources there to expand technology, but the reason behind it showed that they were not advancing society, because they were destroying people's ability to think beyond that level of barbarism. So, better yet, when you look at their societies, they should be way better than that because they have the ability to do it. But now, after Western civilization had brought its way into the Americas, this is where status will justify colonialism to say, well, look at how good that they're doing now. You've seen that American Indians own a lot of casinos, they own hotels, they can own, hospitals, banks. I mean, the ones that are doing good, they're set for life. Like, shout out to them. They're doing amazing. They should be having statues based off of them, because that's helping their bloodlines grow faster. See now, in terms of like Black Americans, like, it would be nice to see the same thing happen like that, because you have so many rich Black people that are doing so good. And actually, before and after slavery was over, there were a bunch of rich Black people that were coming up during the I probably say like, mid to late 1800s. Sounds about right, because during the 1700s there were probably not that many Black people that actually invested heavily on, you know being a entrepreneur, because at that time, from the 1600s leading into today, a lot of Black people had difficulty entering into the United States as a immigrant. And I'm sure at that time you would have had to been, accepted by a colony. So the colony would have had to decide whether, okay, if a African that has money that wanted to come over to the States, they would have had to gone through, a certain process through a certain colony. And that would have been harder for you to get in, because you would have to either go through the British, or go through the Spanish, or go through the Dutch or French, depending on wherever you settle. But let's just say if I had money and I was from Africa and I was in the 1600s and I wanted to go over to America, and I wanted to, check out, what was out there, I would like to do it. But if I can't do it because, one, I'm living in my own nation that's not doing good, then I would have to probably leave Africa, go up to Europe, and probably ask for political amnesty by way of immigration, and take a boat, go over to the Americas. I mean, that's just how I would see it. But yeah, in terms of statues, I think statues are very good to have a historical meaning behind it. I think statue burning is only justified in certain areas where, let's just say, if we're like, if I live in Armenia and I know that the Armenian genocide is evil, and let's just say the Armenian government decides to have people that supported the Armenian genocide as statues to show leaders of the genocidal charges that were being led by the Turkish army, then I would have a problem with that, because politically that would incite my mindset to make me violent, to go after them, because it's like they're the enemy. They're people that I've never met. They're people that have tried to slaughter my people, and it's why should I stand up for that? So that's something that would make you feel like, okay, if I did the same thing, if I was on the other side of the, of that spectrum, where I was from Turkey and I saw statues of quote unquote Armenian rebels that ended up fighting back and killing the Turks, I would say yes, this is justified, but to most Turkish people that are uneducated, they would say, no, we don't want those Armenian statues in our country. F Armenia, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, it doesn't make sense because it's like Turkey was the country that started to invade Armenia first. So Armenia did not do anything wrong. Armenia was just minding its own business until Turkey started to invade them. And don't get it twisted, Armenia has its own problems, but Armenia is not Armenia's not a bad country. It doesn't have a reputation of doing that many bad things to other people. But yeah, I mean statues are good. Don't get it twisted. But on top of that, you have to understand the history of why these statues are put there. And the reason for having statues is either for good or bad. You can use a statue for good things, so like, let's just say if there's a statue of Lewis Latimer here in the U.S., I would support that. That would be good to have because Lewis, Latimer, he's actually a whatchamacallit, he's a massive inventor. He created a lot of great ideas for Black American society to grow on today. Obviously, he was his own entrepreneur, but the ideas that he made was, it's beneficial to this day. With the air conditioning unit, inventing the light bulb filament, right, and creating plenty of other stuff. You know what I'm saying? But those are the type of statues that I like having people that are liberators of freedom that actually compete, in the market to come up with good ideas and help society grow. Not praise like political statues such as political leaders in the past and think like that's your history that you need to stand for and people should just accept it because the people that wanted to create that statue were authoritarian psychopaths. Like looking at statues like Joseph Stalin or Mao Zedong or Adolf Hitler, those statues, yeah, they're good. Like they're good to have as far as a political educational tool, but to praise these statues and to make sure that these statues need to be kept away from society to not be damaged, I don't think that makes sense, and I think these statues don't deserve to be put in public spaces because it's like what's like the benefit of doing that? What's the benefit of having statues in public with people that understand the history of these figures? But it's like you should have these statues inside a museum. If you really want to teach history and you actually want to spread, the message bigger, history should be taught, at the museum. It should not be taught, in a public space where you spread political lies to say, oh, let's just praise Mao Zedong because he's such a great leader and blah, blah, blah. Yet he was enslaving millions of people and getting, a crap load of Chinese people killed. So, it's the same principle with Joseph Stalin and many other evil political leaders. And I think statue burning makes sense when your country has been in vain for so long and you do not praise people like that. I'll even use Afghanistan as a great example because people say Afghanistan, oh, they've been conquered, they've been invaded. No, they haven't. Afghanistan is probably one of the fewest nations in the world that is considered to be the graveyard of empires. You want to know why? Because every country that has invaded Afghanistan has always failed, but Afghanistan has made an example. Yeah, has made an example out of them. The British have tried invading them. The Turks have tried invading them. The Persians have tried invading them. The Mongolians have tried invading them. The Russians have tried to, quote unquote, invade them, but they ended up losing hard. Americans, obviously, with the U.S. military trying to invade Afghanistan, failed miserably. I mean, so many countries have tried, and they ended up failing, pretty bad because, they thought that Afghanistan was such an easy, land to, you know, to, um, to take over. But politically, that was false because, the land was properly defended by the people that have, rebelled there for thousands of years. And Afghanistan has been probably one of the very fewest nations in the world that actually cares about its freedoms. And the people that are fighting now, against their own government, they're doing a good job. But they don't have any statues praising political leaders. They've always been fighting back against political rulers, and they have rejected political rulership to think that they need to be looking at certain leaders in society in order for them to praise their heritage. So I would say Afghanistan has done a very good job. Obviously, it's not at its best because they've been heavily invaded multiple times, and there's a lot of political insurrection that's destroying the nation's economy. But yeah, that's just like a clear example to show like statue burning works in certain areas where if you know that your country has not been a good land with multiple invaders trying to take shit over and basically promote the promote the wrong message of history to your people, then statue burning does make sense because it's not to promote book burning where you're coming out of your way burning books of philosophy, and then you end up doing the same thing what the Nazis have done or the communists have done and just start shooting and killing people. No, I'm not saying that should ever happen. I'm not supporting that. I am supporting, however, if you want to burn a statue that does not represent your people, and you know that this statue is made by evil people that have supported that type of thinking, then no, I would not want to live under that type of society. But there's a reason why people do that. It's mainly because you have a ill will bias against the people. Well, the governing ruling class has an ill will against those people that they're trying to rule. So they're trying to promote, the wrong message to make those people believe in the state and think that their form of history that they're teaching you with their statues are justified. In which, statues are not made by the state, but some statues are. I'm pretty sure, like, Abraham Lincoln's statue was definitely taxpayer paid, right? But depending on what the status quo was, with any certain statue, most statues are usually built by people that either probably get contracted to build a statue to sculpt it, because it's not like people like Deontay Wilder, like he had his statue made by by like another person that wanted to sculpt it, and good enough he did it. So I mean, statues do play a role in a free market, and yeah, like I think it's beneficial to have statues. I'm not against the concept of statues, but in a political sense, I think it does matter to burn down statues that don't represent your history. And if people don't want these statues in their communities, people should have the ultimate right to do what they need to do to get rid of them. I think, like, if I lived in a black, you know let's just say if I lived in a black neighborhood, and within our community there's a racist statue of a political leader, in America, of, let's just say, some evil governor or some political tyrant that led a colonial army to try to hurt and enslave people, I would not want this person in my community to be represented in a statue. Like if I wanted to have a slave rebellion leader, like a Nat Turner or whoever, to say that this is justified for us to believe in, for our community, then I would want that. I would say, yeah, let's have Nat Turner, as our statue of a symbolism. Like even for myself, like I'm from Albany, New York, but there's a statue of Henry Johnson, up in Albany, New York, and his statue, stands there over in Albany, New York, on Henry Johnson Boulevard. But he's heavily remembered for what he did back in World War I, where he saved his squadron from basically getting killed by the Germans through hand-to-hand combat while he was wounded. And he never got his respect and all that. But I mean, I don't praise the military. That's one thing about me being a ANCAP. So for any libertarians that are listening, no, I do not support the military. At like one bit. I'm against the military industrial complex. So I'm not. I'm not like I don't fall into that little BS game that some libertarians do, that are not principled, to say, oh well, I'm an ANCAP, but I support certain military functions, and it's like, nah, bro, you got to be against it or you got to be for it. Can't have it both ways. But yeah, I mean, either way, I mean, there's plenty of other statues in political history that have different meanings of what they represent, and I think statues do play a massive role, depending on what they promote. But to finish up this question, is statue burning justified? I would say, in conclusion, statue burning makes sense when you know that the history does not help society grow. If you live in a society that was built off of violence, and therefore statues have been made to praise the people that support violence, then I'm in favor of seeing those statues taken down. But if you live in a community that is a peaceful, hardworking society that looks out for each other, and there are statues that guide those people to be motivated in life to do the things that you see people do great now in today's world, then I'm in favor of that, because that helps society grow. And the thing is that if you don't have those statues put down that actually educate humanity better, to show the inconsistencies of the evil actors versus from good actors in the world, then that's what creates this massive political division that you see within areas that have gone through certain forms of imperialism, or any form of just political stigmatism, where the culture has been basically shell shocked to the point where everything's polarized and people live in a very divisive manner. But the only way that ever heals itself is that mankind has to unify on principle and remove bad actors from society. So I would say that makes sense as far as burning down the statues that don't help society grow, and people are praising bad actors in society. So I would say statue burning does work in certain functions, but as far as like a long term effect, no. I think it's not good to be burning down statues that actually do make sense to educate society on. I think it's important to keep up certain bad actors that actually do promote certain historical functions to give people the right mode of thinking. But you should also have the opposing people that went against them say that this person went against these slave owners in the past, or even have certain bad actors that people don't know about, and actually show the inconsistencies of other people that did the same thing along with them, and then have competing good actors that went against their ideas. So like, when people talk about black American slavery, there should be statues of black American slaves that show, all the power, power tripping that they have done with their slave campaigns of having the richest black owners in America with, like a whole bunch of other, people next to it. So, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think I hashed out everything properly. Again, like I'm not the type of person to be supporting barbaric means of statue burning, but I think honestly, when it comes down to it, if people don't want a statue that represents evil, you should not have that statue in your community. I think it's better to have statues that fit people's political ideology, but not even ideology, but philosophically wise. Like, if you want to grow humanity, you have to have statues that actually help people go above and beyond their thoughts, and actually have statues of people that supported liberty and they were champions of liberty. That's another issue as well. So I think that's something that a lot of people tend to fail upon, and I think yeah, it's important. So that's pretty much it. I think I've already said what I had to say. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys enjoy the video, and yeah, peace, love, liberty, happiness. All right, I'll see you guys later. Bye.